Good evening. I hope everyone is well tonight. As you would have seen from my Facebook post, Instagram story, I went and visited my sister and her family over the weekend last night, and I was enjoying my time with her too much. Sorry to take myself away and do what would have been night number 8 of my Facebook Live. So I'll do a couple of extra during the week and catch up then. But as anyone who has children of school age would know, there's been some significant calls today, at least in Queensland, about the change to the Queensland school start date, which can feel a little bit stressful when you're trying to navigate returning to work and having children being homeschooled. I know those in other states and even countries around Australia and around the world have been doing that during lockdown for a really long time. And I don't envy that position. But there's also changes around what surgeries are available. So those of you in amongst my followers who are in a position where you need to be accessing that elective surgery, can be really, really stressful. So I wanted to share with you tonight a couple of really powerful exercises that help with taking care of yourself and supporting yourself through this time. So one of them is a self-compassion practice, and the other one is giving you tools to reflect on what you can control and influence and what is outside of your circle of influence. And having certainty around that in itself can be really powerful. So if anyone has heard of the Self-Compassion project process, they'll be aware that it's a beautiful way to give yourself that love and care and warmth and support that you might give to a friend but may not be as practiced at giving yourself. We tend to be a bit more harsh with ourselves than we might be with someone else. So it's taking that same attitude and that same warmth and that same ability to be kind to someone else and bringing it back towards yourself. So I know I've spoken in lives before about the loving kindness meditation practice that I've recorded and put on Insight Timer, and that's a traditional Buddhist practice where you give compassion and kind thoughts to others and then to yourself. But the self-compassion break is a slightly different process where the very first thing that you do is actually acknowledge when you're in a moment of suffering. And quite often we don't stop and pause and acknowledge that. We might just kind of go, oh, stop being silly, move on, get over yourself, you're totally fine. And sometimes that might be the case, but in situations like this where there is legitimate feelings of stress and anxiety and worry, and feeling like you're spinning out of control, things are slipping out of your control, then yeah, you might reflect and go, yeah, this is a moment of suffering. And that ability to stop and acknowledge that is really powerful. The next step is to remind yourself that you're not alone in your suffering. And you might think to yourself such things as, this is a human experience, there are many others, and it's a very, very, very true statement at the moment that there are literally thousands, if not millions of others around the world who are experiencing the same amount of uncertainty and pain and suffering that you might be as well. So knowing that you're not alone, that you're not the only one experiencing it, can be quite humbling and quite comforting in a way. I know that sounds strange, but just knowing that you're not alone can be quite comforting. Even if it means that you know that deep down that someone else is suffering, that can be uncomfortable, but there's some comfort in that. And you know, as I've said before, you know, we are tribal species, and there's just this deep down knowing that we want to belong, you know, and that's just biological. You can't deny that. And then the third step is to respond to that pain or that suffering that you have acknowledged with kindness, with warmth and support. So, as I said at the beginning, if you are with a friend or a family member and they're going through a moment of suffering, you would be giving them some kindness and some warmth and some words of encouragement or a hug. It's then giving that same kindness and warmth back to yourself. So they're the 3 steps of the self-compassion break. And I'm going to schedule, I promised on Friday night that I would schedule a live where I would actually take everyone through a process. I'll be scheduling that for tomorrow afternoon. I'm thinking 3 p.m, so that'll be 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is Brisbane time, which will be 4 p.m. In the daylight saving Eastern States anyway. And yeah, I'll take you through the self-compassion break, and so you can actually experience it by being guided through. The other tool that I wanted to give you tonight was the ability to just reflect on, you know, what is in your circle of control and influence. So when you're feeling like things are getting out of control and you're feeling really frustrated, really uncertain, not knowing, you know, what lever is going to get pulled next, you can actually sit down and ask these questions of yourself. Get really clear on what is out of my control. And there will be things that you'll put in that column, that box, that circle. And then what can I influence? What can I control? And then finally, asking yourself what choice is available to me right now, because we always have choice. So those 4 questions are going to help you to reflect in a more deliberate and intentional way on what you can control, and it will stop you from spending time and energy and mental space on things that are completely out of your control, and help you to direct your energy into those things that you can control. You know, if you're in a position where you are juggling multiple things, then being able to really harness and focus that energy is going to be so much more effective for you. So asking yourself those 4 questions will be really, really helpful. So I hope those 2 strategies, techniques, series of questions will help you if you're feeling quite stressed and anxious about this latest wave of the virus coming through, and give you some tools for that. And as I said, tomorrow afternoon I'll actually take you through the self-compassion break and a bit of a relaxation process as well. So I look forward to seeing you then. I'll pop that scheduled event up now, and I'll see you then. Have an amazing night. See you tomorrow. Good night.